The big blue splash. The pool cover billowed away, a flourish more of effort than elegance. A grunt escaped Mr. Rodriguez, his back protesting slightly. Regardless, the turquoise expanse below winked, a siren's song under the sun. Lily's breath hitched. Larger than life, even more vibrant than the glossy photos, it beckoned. Well, hop to it. Mr. Rodriguez roared, a grin splitting his face. He sported swim trunks riotously adorned with hibiscus, a sight that made Lily wince before triggering an answering smile. No further encouragement was needed. With a squeal of unrestrained glee, Lily, flanked by Maya and Chloe, bolted toward the shimmering water. Maya, ever deliberate, tested the temperature with a cautious toe. Perfect. Her verdict unleashed them. Lily launched herself, a human cannonball. The initial chill was a delightful shock, stealing her breath in a rush of pure sensation. She surfaced, gasping and giggling, to a scene of aqueous chaos as Maya and Chloe unleashed their own splashy assaults. Mr. Rodriguez, reclining in a nearby lounger, watched with unadulterated pleasure. Mrs. Rodriguez, phone in hand, captured the scene, her laughter harmonizing with the girls' joyous cries. He followed Lily's plunge, her ebony hair swirling around her like a dark halo. Suddenly, he was transported back to those soul-crushing shifts at his previous job, questioning if he could ever provide this carefree joy. The sacrifices, the relentless hours, all validated in this singular moment. A cascade of water, a rogue wave courtesy of Chloe's exuberance, drenched him completely. He simply chuckled, unperturbed. This was the kickoff, the unofficial starting gun of summer. This was bliss. Then, a discordant note, Karen Fell's face, a grim mask pressed against the fence, marring the idyllic tableau. Her gaze was sharp, and her lips downturned in a perpetual frown that deepened. The warmth in Mr. Rodriguez's chest faltered. This was indeed the beginning, but of something else entirely. Mrs. Crabtree's suspicious glare. The chlorine stung Lily's eyes, but she didn't dare wipe them. Not yet. Not while Mrs. Crabtree's lace-curtained window held her captive. Lily had been doing cannonballs, creating the biggest splashes she could manage, giggling with Max and their dad, when she looked up. There, framed in the sterile white of the Crabtree house, was Mrs. Agnes Crabtree herself. Her face was a study in disapproval. A slight purse of the lips, a barely perceptible narrowing of the eyes. It was enough. Lily's joy deflated like a punctured inflatable flamingo. What's wrong? Max asked, treading water beside her. Lily jerked her chin towards the window. Max followed her gaze. Oh, he said, a grin spreading across his face. The neighborhood watch. He ducked underwater, resurfacing with a dramatic snort. Probably taking notes on our swimwear violations. Lily didn't laugh. She watched as Mrs. Crabtree subtly adjusted her floral curtains, a tiny movement that spoke volumes. She hadn't gone away. She was still watching. Relax, their dad said, oblivious, launching himself into the pool with a clumsy dive. Easy for you to say, Lily muttered. You haven't gotten a violation notice for breathing too loudly. Max chuckled. She probably measures the decibels from her window. It's a scientific experiment to prove we're all heathens. He mimed, holding a complicated device up to the sky. Lily splashed him, but her heart wasn't in it. Mrs. Crabtree's gaze felt like a physical weight pressing down on their fun. The flamingo fiasco. The electric hum of the air pump filled the afternoon air, drowning out the cicadas for a blessed moment. Mr. Rodriguez, beaming, wrestled the nozzle into the giant inflatable flamingo. It was pink. Obnoxiously, unapologetically pink. As it grew, it cast a rosy hue across the turquoise water, a beacon of tropical defiance in the heart of suburban conformity. Mrs. Crabtree, watering her prize-winning hydrangeas across the manicured lawn, visibly recoiled. Her mouth pursed into a tighter line than usual, a physical manifestation of the regulation-sized frown that seemed permanently etched on her face. The flamingo, now fully inflated, bobbed jauntily, a grotesque parody of elegance, in her considered opinion. Lily and Max, however, were ecstatic. They shrieked with laughter, clambering onto the flamingo's back, striking ridiculous poses for Mr. Rodriguez's phone. Lily stretched out, mimicking a swimsuit model, while Max pretended to wrestle the flamingo's long neck. Say aloha. Mr. Rodriguez chuckled, snapping photos. Mrs. Crabtree slammed her watering can down, the metallic clang cutting through the joyful noise. She marched towards the property line, her sandals slapping angrily against the concrete. The hydrangeas, momentarily forgotten, wilted slightly under the harsh glare of the afternoon sun, mirroring, perhaps, their owner's inner state. The flamingo, oblivious, continued its cheerful bobbing, a pink harbinger of chaos. Binoculars and rose bushes. The chlorinated water lapped against Lily's ears as she floated on her back, the sun warm on her face. Dragonflies zipped past, their iridescent wings flashing emerald and sapphire. A splash jolted her upright. Max, doing his best impression of a cannonball, sent a wave cascading over the pool's edge. "Show off," she called, laughing. He grinned, slicking back his hair. "Just demonstrating superior aquatic skills." Lily squinted, catching a glint of metal beyond the rose bushes that lined the fence. A rickety aluminum ladder wobbled precariously, and perched atop it like some startled, overdressed bird was Mrs. Crabtree. Her floral dress, usually pressed to perfection, was hitched up, revealing sensible orthopedic shoes. She clutched a pair of binoculars, their lenses trained directly on the pool. "Max," Lily said, lowering her voice. "Look." He followed her gaze, his smile vanishing. "Seriously? Again?" Mrs. Crabtree, oblivious, adjusted the focus. The binoculars remained glued to her eyes. Lily imagined she was counting the splashes, measuring the decibel level of their laughter, calculating the precise chlorine-to-water ratio. Max climbed out of the pool, water beating on his tan skin. He grabbed a towel and stalked towards the fence. "This is ridiculous," he muttered, shaking his head. "I'm going to say something." The great fall of Mrs. Crabtree. The topiary needed attention. Agnes Crabtree, armed with her late husband's ancient pruning shears and a resolve stiffer than her starched floral dress, ascended the aluminum ladder. It groaned under her weight, a sound she ignored. The Johnsons' pool party was reaching a fever pitch, the shrieks of children echoing across the manicured lawns of Willow Creek Estates. Agnes needed to document the sheer volume of inflatable swans before reporting them to the HOA. Section 3, Paragraph 7 clearly stated. Suddenly, a rogue gust of wind, or perhaps just the ladder's inherent instability, caused it to wobble violently. Agnes gasped, her grip tightening on the shears. They clattered to the patio stones below. "Good heavens," she squeaked, her floral handbag swinging precariously. She reached for the nearest branch of the towering rosebush she was attempting to trim, a crimson glory known for its vicious thorns. It was a mistake. The branch, unable to bear her weight, snapped. Agnes lost her balance, arms flailing like a distressed scarecrow. A loud oof escaped her lips as she plummeted downwards, landing with a less than graceful thud directly in the heart of the rose bushes. Thorns snagged her dress, scratched her arms, and tangled in her meticulously permed hair. The ladder, now unburdened, crashed to the ground beside her with a resounding clang. Max's master plan. The aluminum ladder groaned, then gave way entirely. Karen shrieked, a high-pitched sound that ended abruptly in a wet thud. Before anyone could react, Max had snatched his tablet from the patio table. He hit record, capturing the entire, undignified scene. Karen sprawled amongst the hibiscus bushes, her floral sundress askew, a smear of potting soil on her cheek. Lily's parents, Sarah and David, rushed to Karen's aid, their faces etched with concern. "Are you all right, Karen? Should we call an ambulance?" Karen waved them off, a pained expression twisting her features. Just help me up." Her voice was strained. Later, after Karen had limped back to her own yard, Sarah wrung her hands. "This is a disaster. She'll sue. Or worse, she'll use this as an excuse to double down on her vigilance." David sighed, running a hand through his thinning hair. "She already thinks we're breaking every rule in the book." Max, who had been silently reviewing the footage, stopped the recording. "Actually," he said, a sly grin spreading across his face, "I think we can use this." "Use it? Max, are you crazy?" Sarah exclaimed. "Hear me out," he countered, holding up the tablet. "We send this to the HOA board. Not as blackmail, but as evidence. Evidence of Karen's harassment and the lengths she'll go to. They need to see what we've been dealing with. Maybe this will finally make them take our concerns seriously." The video showed everything, the ladder placement, Karen's intent. It was undeniable. David looked skeptical, but Sarah's eyes widened. "It might actually work," she said, a glimmer of hope flickering within her. "It's a risk, but it's a risk worth taking." The blooper reel. Max hunched over his laptop, the glow reflecting in his determined eyes. Snippets of Karen's unfortunate ladder descent flashed on the screen. He'd already muted the audio, replacing the thud of her landing with a comical boing sound effect. Now he was adding a cartoonish dust cloud that puffed out around her impact zone. "What are you doing?" Lily asked, padding into the living room, a mug of tea in her hand. Max grinned, swiveling the laptop around. Karen, in all her ladder-falling glory, played on repeat, this time punctuated by a Wilhelm scream as she tumbled. Lily burst out laughing, nearly spilling her tea. "Max, you didn't," she gasped, wiping a tear. "Oh, I did," he said, a mischievous glint in his eye. He pointed to a poorly animated flock of birds that now circled Karen's head, adding a touch of Hitchcockian horror. He stopped the video, his expression turning serious. "The plan is this. I'll present it as a serious safety concern to the HOA board. Highlight the latter's proximity to the pool, the potential for serious injury. But I'll accidentally play this version first. Let them see the absurdity of it all. The laughter will disarm them. They'll see her spying wasn't exactly a dignified operation. Then I'll switch to the unedited version and hammer home the danger. Think of it as a preemptive strike with humor." He clicked play again, the boing echoing in the room. Operation Blooper Reel is a go. HOA Havoc. The screen flickered to life, displaying Agnes Crabtree perched precariously on a ladder. Her floral sundress hiked up a scandalous inch or two. A collective gasp filled the room, followed by a nervous cough from Mr. Henderson, the HOA president. On screen, Agnes wobbled, her face a mask of determined concentration as she peered over the fence at the shimmering blue expanse of the pool. Then came the tumble. A slow-motion ballet of flailing limbs and outraged squawks before she landed with a muffled thud in a rosebush. A snicker escaped Mrs. Davison, the board's treasurer, quickly stifled with a hand over her mouth. Agnes's face was crimson, a stark contrast to the pale lavender of her dress. She sat rigid, her eyes fixed on the screen as if willing it to disappear. The video ended. Mr. Henderson cleared his throat. "Well," he said, his voice strained, "that was revealing." "Revealing of what, exactly?" Agnes snapped, her voice trembling slightly. "That I take my responsibilities seriously? That I'm dedicated to upholding the standards of this community." "Perhaps," Mrs. Davison said gently, "it reveals that our pool rules are a little stringent, Agnes. And that maybe, just maybe, a more relaxed approach wouldn't require such dramatic surveillance." A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. The air, thick with the scent of furniture polish and unspoken tensions, felt lighter, somehow. Even Mr. Henderson seemed to sit a little straighter. The video, in its absurd glory, had shifted something fundamental in the neighborhood's power dynamic. Picnic of peace. Mrs. Crabtree approached Lily's mother with a Tupperware container in hand, its contents emitting the vinegary tang of potato salad. Her face, still bearing a faint purple bruise near her hairline, was uncharacteristically subdued. I thought perhaps a gesture of goodwill was in order." She thrust the container forward. "It's homemade, with dill." Lily's mother, surprised, accepted the offering. "Thank you, Mrs. Crabtree." "Don't mention it," she mumbled, shuffling her feet. "And I was thinking, perhaps a neighborhood picnic? To, foster a sense of community." The suggestion hung in the air, as unexpected as a January thaw. Saturday, 3 o'clock. The park. The picnic was a kaleidoscope of checkered blankets, mismatched chairs, and hesitant smiles. Even Mr. Abernathy, notorious for his meticulously manicured lawn, brought a tray of surprisingly delicious miniature quiches. Laughter, tentative at first, gradually filled the air, mingling with the sizzle of burgers on the makeshift grill. From their backyard, Lily could hear the joyful chaos. She peeked through the slats of the fence and saw Mrs. Crabtree, a small, almost smile playing on her lips, awkwardly attempting to catch a rogue frisbee. Later, as the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the lawn, Lily and her brother finally dove into their pool. The water, cool and inviting, reflected the fading light. For the first time in weeks, there was no watchful gaze, no hovering shadow, only the sound of splashing and carefree shrieks echoing through the evening air. The picnic of peace had worked its magic.